Hello! First off, thank you all so much for your responses to my video last week where I had asked what your favorite sci-fi books are. It was so much fun just like reading through all your responses, just hearing about all sorts of books, because I guess I didn't really know what to expect. There was just so much more breadth of books mentioned than I had realized that there was going to be, so it was a lot of fun. But there were some books that were mentioned more often than others. For instance, Dune by Frank Herbert was mentioned a few times, and so was The Martian by Andy Weir. I think I was most pleasantly surprised by a couple mentions of Too Like the Lightning by Ada Palmer, which is one of my favorite books, but I get the sense that not a lot of people have read the book, so I'm really excited that some of you have read it and loved it too. So I'll be contacting giveaway winners very, very soon. But moving along to the actual weekly reading update part. Last week was a pretty slow reading week for me. I DNF'd, did not finish a lot of books, so I just put them down 50 pages in. I wasn't just excited by a lot of things that I had picked up, and I think I was just in the mood to do some rereading, and so I mostly reread last week. For instance, I'm currently rereading the first two books in the Broken Earth trilogy by Jemisin, so I finished the 5th season, which is the first book of that series. I'm currently almost done with rereading the Obelsik, and the third and final book is coming out next month, so I'm really excited about that. But otherwise, so there wasn't a whole lot from last week. As far as let's Venn diagram this, so there's the books that I actually finished last week, which is not that many, and then the books that were new to me, not rereads. And when you cross that Venn diagram, in the middle of that Venn diagram is one book, and that book is Who Fears Death, which is by Nnedi Okorafor. And I had read the prequel to this book, which is called The Book of Phoenix, and I love that book. It is the dystopia that blends such interesting culture and history into it. And its main character deals with anger in the most fascinating way I've ever read. The Book of Phoenix is still the book that I think that deals the best with the theme of anger out of everything I've ever read. So, having read that and other Nnedi Okorafor books, I was really looking forward to finally getting to Who Fears Death, which is possibly her most popular work. But then it turned out to be a fairly standard fantasy quest sort of book with those kinds of tropes. It's literally, there's a prophecy, there's a chosen one. The chosen one has to try to convince this old guy that she should be mentored because she's worth it. And then her and her friends, they go out into the land on their questing, and there's a bad guy who is just like the Dark Lord with the big red eye and the sky omeganess. It's very, very tropey. And I think that for this fantasy epic quest, it's better than most versions. It's in a fascinating post-apocalyptic Africa setting. It deals with violence and sex in a lot more fully realized ways than say Lord of the Rings would do. So though deeper and better and more real, and this would resonate better than other fantasy epics, I'm not actually a huge fan of the fantasy quest. So that was the thing that I actually finished last week. So I think I'll just show you things I'm going to be reading, and hopefully they'll be really exciting, because I picked up some books at the library that I'm kind of hoping that will fix this slump of just DNFing everything. So there's a couple books that I got. Let me just grab some library books over here. One of them is The Strange Case of the Alchemist's Daughter. It's by Theodora Goss, and this is really there's the main character named Mary Jekyll. She's trying to find an Edward Hyde. She teams up with Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson. And then there's even more name dropping. There's these other characters that are Beatrice Rappaccini, Catherine Moreau, Justine Frankenstein. So twists on characters from literature. And I think I'll just read a part of a blurb on the back to kind of give you a sense of this book. It says that this book is as if Charlie's Angels, as written by Mary Shelley, took over the Blue Stocking Society with bonus well-mannered explosions. And that sounds really delightful, so I'm looking forward to this book. I also picked up this kind of ridiculous looking book, but we'll see. This is called Kings of the Wild. It's by Nicholas Eames, and it's supposed to be pretty rock and roll humorous, and it's about these band of mercs. And the thing is, now they've grown old and fat and drunk. But then they try to bring the band back together, which is one of my favorite things, and they go do something really brave and stupid. So it sounds really ridiculous and might be a total disaster, but I love getting the band back together and rock and roll vibes. So I'm kind of hoping it'll be the good kind of ridiculous. So we'll see how this one turns out. So yeah, looking forward to reading those. I hope that this was a somewhat interesting, sort of lopsided, rambly video. But anyway, till next time, lovelies.